Good morning. I thought I'd give you a little update on the 94, the 1894 that I got from my trip out to Arizona. Last time I showed it to you, it looked like it was a pretty big mess, and it kind of still is a pretty big mess, but it's a little bit less than it was. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to try to keep as much of it as I could original, or at least original to what I got, and I'm able to do that for the most part, but for some of it, I'm not able to do. And one of the things that I'm not able to do is to redo the stock. It's kind of disappointing because the stock has so much character to it. Showed it to you before, but I started messing with it a little bit, and pieces started falling off it. Um, Back down where the pieces fell off, it's all soft and kind of rotted, kind of. So that would mean I'd have to dig that out, and I don't know how far down that goes, and it still has all the splits and stuff along the sides. There's pieces of it missing up here near the top. So I decided that yeah, I could use the wood filler or epoxy or whatever I wanted to do to try to get this back at least so it's serviceable. But anybody that's shot a 30-30 knows that it's got a pretty good kick to it, and I just don't feel like it's safe to refurbish this to use on my gun. I personally don't feel safe doing that. So what I'm gonna have to do is I'm gonna have to buy a new one, or not a new one. I don't want to buy a brand new one. There's plenty of brand new ones out there. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna wait and look on eBay and Gunbroker and some of the other sites, and I'm gonna wait till I see one that's serviceable and old. And there was one on there today, but it was in just as bad shape as the one that I have. It had a big screw in the side and stainless steel screw and stuff. And I thought, there's really no point in jumping from the frying pan into the fire with a stock like that. So I'll be waiting on that and looking for that on eBay and so forth. So that'll be a hold on that. The four stock, I don't know if I can find a stock that looks beat up and stuff, then I'll keep this. Otherwise, I'll replace it too, just that they should at least look similar to each other. And that's a shame because it would have looked pretty neat together, but oh well, safety has to come first on this whole thing. So I, I took all the guts out. I think the guts may have been out last time when I had it, and I inspected them. The loader, as I showed you before, was bent, but it's straighter and it's actually working pretty good right now. It's in pretty good shape. The link, this is the part that goes up underneath for those that have a 30-30, they know what this is. And this goes up, this goes up inside. This goes up inside like this. Um, it was also bent, and there's a lot of things bent on this gun. And I've got it. It's pretty straight. There's a little divot right here still, but it works. So if it works, I'm going to leave it alone. I'm not going to mess with it anymore. And you know, why mess with it if it works? Let's see, what else have I done? Oh, the front sight. I showed you the front sight that was on there, and I was wondering what it was. And this is the front sight that was on it. It's I'm trying to think how I can show it best. This is the front sight that was on it. There you go. I took it off. It doesn't belong on a 94. Somebody told me that it looked like a sight on a Model 58, and I looked it up, and you know what? It just might be off of a Model 58. But what I plan to do is I plan to put an appropriate rear sight on the gun so that it'll look like it's supposed to. Spring, I have to replace the spring. This spring goes on the lower tank. It goes down inside, and what it does is it works to hold in the. I think I showed you how the safety works. You know, it pushes up when you pull the handle up. It pushes up, and this spring is what holds it down. The spring is not the way it's supposed to look. It's close. I tried to manipulate it a little bit to try to get it so that so that it would work, but I can't get it to do that. So I'm gonna have to buy a new spring to go along with everything. When I was doing that, I had there's two pins that go into the lower tank. The one goes in the front here, and that's the one where the trigger goes. It holds the trigger in, and it holds the um, uh, the steer in. And then there's one back here that holds this. This is the safety that sticks down inside, and it holds the safety in. Well, I lost the one that goes for the safety. It fell on the floor, and it's ending up where all the screws and springs and pins and everything else that ever fell on the floor disappeared to. Someday I'm going to find it, and I'll be able to open up a used parts store because all those parts are going to be down there. So what I did was, maybe you do the same thing, but I keep all old pins that I don't need, or one of the best ways to do it is if you have a screwdriver and the screw bit breaks, save the part, you know, the flat part. It's very hard steel, and they're in different sizes. Well, I looked in my jar of um, pins or perspective pins, and I found one that fits right in there. It's a little long. I'll have to cut it off, but it'll save me from having to buy one. So that's one thing. You never throw away any screws, never throw away any springs, never throw away anything that you can use for a pin. Now, you don't want to use something necessarily very soft like aluminum or whatever. Early on, I tried using a a pop rivet, you know, the metal part on the pop rivet. The problem with that is that it's made out of aluminum and it's very soft, and you need something hard to use for that. So that's why the bits from the drills are perfect for this. What else have I got here? Um, I took the magazine. The magazine, and what I did was I noticed that there was some dents. I don't know, you can see the dents, and see there's a dent there, and there's a dent there. And I thought that was going to be a problem when I put the magazine on. And I thought, well, maybe that might be a problem for feeding the rounds because, you know, constricted. But if you put a round in, it works just fine. So I'm not going to be concerned about that. Looks like character. Leave it on there. If you notice, there was some rust on the gun. Even on the nickel plated, other not the nickel plated, but the nickel steel, there was some discoloration and some rust. So I had to get that off. And what I use to get rust off is I use these. They're stainless steel scrubby pads, and they work as good as steel wool. And they don't leave a bunch of. If you use steel wool for getting rid of rust, you know, and I know, you end up with a bunch of powder, just little pieces of steel wool that end up everywhere in your gun. They end up all over. This does not leave that. So, and it won't. It's the same thing. It won't mess with your bluing or finish or at all on your gun, and you can just use it, and it takes the stuff off pretty quick and pretty easy. So I did that, and then I said, "Oh man, this stuff is too shiny. It looks like a brand, you know, it looks brand new kind of, you know." So what I did was I took and I wanted to make it look um, older, aged, like it did before I did anything to it. So what I did was I thought about it. I have see this? Anybody that does cold bluing knows that when you leave liquid cold bluing, it turns orange. I don't know why it turns orange, but it turns orange. So I saved this stuff, and what I did was I put some of that on a blue um, wipe, a paper towel, and I took it and I just wiped it on this real quick, let it sit for about 30 seconds, wiped it off. So what it's done is it's left it gray, like metallic, but darker than just shiny metal. So to me, that looks good. I'm going to leave it like that because it still shows through some of the some of the discoloration and stuff in the barrel that I like. It makes it look old. See, there you go. And it makes it look old, and that's the whole idea. Is to for me was to make it look old. Lastly, man, we're already up to almost 12 minutes. Well, I showed you before that the upper tang was bent on the gun. I don't know how all this stuff got bent, but anyway, so what I had to do is I had to straighten that out because otherwise my stock is going to be off at an angle. So what I did was I wrapped a towel around, a rag around it, and I put it inside the vise, and I pulled, and I pulled, and I'm telling you, it's not that easy to bend that stuff back to where it was supposed to be. So something serious must have happened to this gun somewhere along the way that caused all this to happen. I mean, did it get run over by a car? Did it? I mean, I don't know. But anyway, so I got it back, and it's pretty straight. It's not exactly straight, but it's pretty straight. So that's where I am with this gun so far. Okay. Um, what I'm going to planning on doing is letting it sit because I have to wait on a spring. Also, there's going to be a front sight that's coming, and there's also a screw that goes. When you put your what is the link pin inside for a 40 for a 3030, what happens is this goes up inside, and this whole thing goes inside your bolt. So there's this pin that goes in between the bolt and here to hold it together so that when you move this, the bolt goes back and forth. Well, the screw is missing the cover that keeps the pin inside. If you don't put the screw on, then the pin will fall out and then your gun won't work. But so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it all aside. I have all the parts um, discovered while on vacation. These, I guess it's an ad for Blue Bunny ice cream, and it's a plastic container, and it's good because it fits all the pieces in it, and they're not going to get lost. Sometimes with the boxes, there was holes or whatever, and the pieces would fall out, and there'd be problems. But with the plastic, that's not going to happen. So reusing it. So anyway, so that's where I'm sitting right now with the 94. Um, what I plan on doing is starting another gun, just rather than just sitting idly. And I'm not sure which one I'm going to do yet, which one I'm going to start yet. But anyway, I'll let you all know when I do start with a new gun. And I think all that we're going to have to do is wait on these parts, and then put this gun together, and then we can go shoot it. And it's going to be a good shooter. The inside of the barrel looks really good. There's some good rifling in there, and it's nice and clean. Because it's clean because it's the nickel steel barrel, so there's very little corrosion inside. So it looks nice. But anyway, well, thank you for watching, and I was going to make this a quick little update, but as usual, I got a little bit carried away. So if you like my videos and you want updates on all my projects that are going on, make sure you subscribe, and and that way there you'll get the updates when they come out. All right. And to those of you people that have been watching me all along, I really appreciate it. It's great to be back, and we got guns to take care of. Thank you. Bye.